ended up getting arrested.
Welcome to the 5 Questions Podcast, where we unlock real estate and business insights one question at a time. Welcome to the 5 Questions Podcast. I am your host, Mario Lamarre. Our guest on today's show took an unconventional path into real estate, from starting a pressure washing business at 20 years old to building nearly 150 rental doors by age 25. He has quickly become known for finding scalable and predictable opportunities in real estate. Alongside his partner Robert, he now specializes in land home packages, a model that's simpler, more predictable than traditional flips, and producing about 50 projects a year. Welcome, Chris Gavre. Chris, welcome
Thanks.
to the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Chris, the concept of a podcast is real simple. 5 questions about real estate or business, and we get straight to the point. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. You've built close to 150 doors portfolio by age 25. This is an accomplishment on its own at that young age. What were the biggest sacrifices or uncomfortable decisions you had to make early on that most people avoid?
Yeah, when I was just getting started, I was 20, as you said, with my pressure washing business. And I'd say the biggest thing was definitely the sacrifice of time. I mean, when you're 20, 21 years old, all your friends want to go party and have a good time and all that. And I didn't partake in a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I just kind of kept my head down and was focused on building towards what I wanted. And a lot of that, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted at that time. But I will say, I mean, one of the biggest things was a lot of the frustration that comes alongside with trying to build something and be successful in some capacity. It is really frustrating, especially when you get knocked down, you got to get back up and all the roller coaster of the experience. But the biggest thing that I definitely had to sacrifice was time, and I would say to some extent relationships, especially when first getting started.
And just to extend on this, I agree with you. Time, I mean, everything you do in life, if you want to be great at it, you got to focus on it. But why did you decide at such a young age to have a focus like this into building something? Some people don't even realize until they're in their 30s, 40s, or even 50s. So what gave you that first spark?
Yeah, that's a little bit of an extended story, but I'll try to make it quick. I was going to college at a school called Kennesaw State University, about 30 minutes north of Atlanta. Long story short, got caught up in the wrong crowd, was doing drugs, got addicted to them, ended up getting arrested. Once I got through court and all that, I was sentenced to probation, and I moved about an hour and a half. Well, I'm sorry, about 2.5 hours north of Atlanta to a town called Greenville, South Carolina. Moved in with my mom. I was 19 at the time, lived in my mom's basement. Dropped out of college, was just kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any friends up there. And so I was really like, man, I got to focus on something. I mean, I don't have friends to go party with anymore. I'm not doing that stuff anymore. And so it's like, I got to figure out how to be successful. And so it's like, I guess I could start a pressure washing company. It was easy. I'd never done it before, but it was something that I could get started with today. And that's kind of how I took my first step in the journey. But it was really, I'd say, kind of out of boredom, to be honest with you.
Well, thank God that you followed your instinct of trying to get out of that wrong crowd. That could definitely change a trajectory of someone's life.
Oh, yeah.
And then you pivoted into building something, and now you're certainly I would the saying satisfied or content is the least, but you accomplished a lot of things. We're going to talk about it right now, which brings us to my second question. A lot of investors chase flips because they look sexy, especially on social media. You see a 20-minute clip, and then they have a new house, they made 100 grand.
Yeah.
Why did you move toward land home packages instead of flips? And what makes that model more predictable and scalable? So maybe for our audience, can you explain first what's a land home package, and then why did you choose to direct yourself towards that?
Yeah, so land home package is pretty simple. We buy a piece of land, we develop it and put a brand new mobile home on it, make it FHA compliant, and sell it on the market. So an end buyer can get an FHA loan, VA loan, all that kind of jazz, traditional financing on them. And the reason that we did that, so back in 2022, late 2022, I met Robert, and I was trying to wholesale him a mobile home park at the time because he bought a lot of mobile home parks. Long story short, he didn't like my assignment fee that was on there. And he's like, you know what? What if no assignment fee? I'll put up the cash. You just come in as like a 30% partner with me, and own it with me. I said, sure, fine. Fast forward a month or two later, we had some empty lots in that park, and we were trying to fill them. And Robert was telling me how he had this manufactured home dealer's license that allowed him to go directly to these manufacturers like Clayton, Cavco, Champion Homes, and buy those brand new houses at wholesale prices. And Robert and I were kind of flipping houses together on the side, and I was flipping some on my own. And he was telling me what we could get these brand new houses for at these wholesale prices to fill our mobile home park. I was like, man, those are awesome prices. Why don't we just go buy some land and put a brand new one out there and sell it on the market? I was like, man, that's a great idea. Let's try it. So beginning of 2023, February 2023, we bought 5 lots to try it out on. It went swimmingly. And what we realized in a lot of the houses that we were flipping is you think you're going to make 40 grand and come to find out we actually lost 10 grand. And we're like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
And then there's always surprises. You're always opening up a wall just to find out you got to rewire the house, or the termites have eaten up a lot of the studs or whatever. And so there was always issues with it, where with the land home packages, that the house is built in a factory. And so it's the same thing every single time. And the house is inspected before it leaves the factory. So there's never a surprise in it. And that's what we hated with flipping. It was so unpredictable. We never knew, when you're under contract with a buyer, you're holding your breath while they do their inspection, hoping that they don't find something that's traumatizing. So it was just never predictable. It never felt like we knew what we were going to really walk out the door with on those deals. And then once we tried the land home packages, we essentially quit flipping altogether.
Yeah, it certainly seems like, you know, and again, it comes to experience. You tried it, and first you started with wholesaling, and then
Yep.
you went in the deals directly yourself with your partner. But through trial and errors, you kind of like removed the things that were causing you to lose money, causing you to have maybe delays in some cases, and then you are now working on a solution that don't have those aspects, which is a genius. And in the intro, you said that we said that about you, that you do about 50 deals a year now because of that
Correct.
model. So this
Yep.
is very scalable for someone who wants to start with very little money too.
Yeah, and our whole team is just me and Robert. Plus, we just brought on another project manager. So we don't have a large team or anything. So yeah, it's extremely scalable, and you don't need a lot of overhead and a bunch of people working with you to really scale it up.
Yeah. Let's go to our third question. If someone talking about starting with limited capital, if someone is listening right now and wants to start and has limited capital and wanted to break into real estate in today's market, would you still recommend starting with wholesaling, or maybe start something else, maybe homeland assemblies or homeland packages?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing and what I did when I started, 'cause I didn't have any money and I didn't know anyone that would lend me any money. I just kind of had to figure it out. And the main thing for me was just going and finding the deal, whether that is land, whether that's houses or multifamily or mobile home, or whatever it is. It's just going and finding the deal. And oftentimes that's what I would do, and then kind of just figure out the rest later. I'd either wholesale it, or I would post it in a Facebook group and see if I could bring someone in to partner. They bring the cash, or they go get a hard money loan or something, because I didn't qualify for any loans, didn't have any income. And so I think that the best way to start is just by finding a deal. That's usually the best way to get into real estate when you don't have anything. As far as what you should start with, whether it's wholesaling or land home packages or whatever, I do think that there's a lot of value in sticking to one asset class. For the past 4 years, I've been strictly a mobile home guy, whether it was mobile home parks or land home packages or anything like that. And that served me well, because when people think of a mobile home in our market, they usually think of me, or they think of my partner Robert, and they're calling us with the deal.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of benefit to kind of picking something and sticking with it, and learning it all the way through. And there's a lot of challenges and hurdles that have come with mobile homes that we've worked through them. But I think a lot of people get discouraged because of those challenges or hurdles, whether it's mobile homes or any asset class. And I think just sticking with something and working through it is kind of the key in this. But I think finding the deal first.
Finding the deal and being part, I would say from experience, to add to your point, finding the deal is one thing. Then what do you do with it? Get be part of communities so you can have access to pools of people to either offset your deal, or because some people, just try to start in real estate, find a deal, and then try to turn around and offload it, and they don't know anybody. So
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with communities in the real estate space is a must as well. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that I did when I got started was I joined there was a Greenville, South Carolina real estate investors Facebook group. And a lot of people in there would either put on events or and it wasn't that big of a group, maybe 3, 4 thousand people in it. But there was people hosting events and going to those meetups and stuff. And I did a lot of that. And that was a great way to meet a lot of people and shake a lot of hands. And
Yeah.
especially, as I was saying, if you stick with one thing, they start to know you as the mobile home guy or land guy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that is really beneficial. So yes, I do agree. Definitely going to those meetups and events is important.
That brings us to our fourth question. And what are the biggest mistakes investors make when trying to scale too fast? I mean, you did it from age 20 to 25, 150 home portfolio. Maybe you can talk about that. And what systems or mindset helped you avoid becoming another burnout story?
Yeah, I think I definitely went through the phases of burnout. I think that some of that's inevitable. The main thing that I did that I think allowed me to do that is I never got comfortable. There's a lot of people, and I've noticed a lot with wholesalers, they'll get 2 deals or something, then they'll just kind of coast for the next 3 months, and then they'll be like, crap, I need to do another deal. And then they'll fire up their marketing again. And then it's kind of comes in waves for a lot of them. And I was always consistent. I started out cold calling, and every single day I'd cold call for 3 hours a day when I first started. And whether I had 10 deals going on or 0 deals going on, I showed up every day and continued to do that. So I think that was probably the biggest part that allowed me to scale up. I will say at first, I actually regretted scaling my rentals so quickly because it can drain a lot of cash and you have to keep a lot of cash reserves for HVAC units or roofs or whatever it was. And a lot of that cash I had to keep in reserves. If I didn't have those rentals, I could have put more fuel on the fire and wholesaling and flipping and did more marketing. And I think grew faster on that side of it. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of benefits to rentals. But there's a side of me that wish I hadn't done that so quickly and that I took my time more with that side of it.
I appreciate you saying that portion that you kind of wish you didn't scale up that fast, because a lot of people, if you look at social media, that's what you see. Oh, I went from 0 to 100 doors in 2 years or in a year, and everybody tries to get rich quick.
Yeah.
That's the dream. Oh, I'll get into real estate, and then it's in a flip of a finger, it's gonna happen, which is not the reality behind the scenes. Like, this is what you see on social media, but you just talked about, having a lack of cash to maybe do some major repairs in some cases or whatnot. And this is very important to understand that it should not be the format you choose. It's not a get quick scheme real estate. You need to take your time, do the proper steps. If you take a step forward, it has to be calculated. If not, you can really hurt yourself, both physically, as far as like, going into depression or whatever, but also like it can impact financially.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was a big thing. And like I said, it kind of pigeonholed me a little bit because I wasn't able to go spend the amount of money on marketing for the flipping side of my business as other people were because I had to keep so much cash set aside because every month there was a problem with a rental and to some extent. And I think I was a little bit more skittish maybe than most people. So I wanted to keep more reserves than necessary, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Chris, that brings us to our fifth and final question for today. Walk us through a real land home deal from start to finish. Maybe talk about acquisition, the cost, the timeline, the profit margin, so our listeners can understand the business model and that you implement or that you work in now, and what it actually looks like behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting off with the marketing side of it, as I mentioned when I started, I was doing a lot of cold calling. I've done text blasting, and now we're doing a more direct mail. But going on and pulling a list, call it PropStream or whatever list provider you use for vacant land, market to it. Once you get a bite and you get under contract with someone, we're usually looking for 30 to 45 days of due diligence minimum on the land, and then 45, 60-day close in total. So usually about 15 days after due diligence, we'll close. During that due diligence process, if the property needs a septic tank and it's not on public sewer, then you'll need to do a soil test to confirm that a septic tank would be allowed there. That's the first step. That usually takes about 30 days. That's why we have a longer due diligence period. We're going to confirm zoning with the county, with the South Carolina's an attorney state, so we use closing attorneys, not title companies. But we're going to make sure there's no neighborhood covenants or restrictions or any HOA or anything like that that would prevent us from being able to put a mobile home on there. And then we'll also check utility availability, so power, making sure that you can get power to the site. Also, water, is it going to need a well or is there public water access? And if it's on public water and on public sewer, then we'll go and call those municipalities and see how much the tap fees are in order to be able to tap into those water and sewer lines. Once we close on the land, we'll order our house. Right now, our house, the model that we're using, is delivering in about 2 to 3 weeks. So if we close on a piece of land, the house is on site, in 2 to 3 weeks. Once it's on site, we're usually set up and on the market within about 30 days. That whole setup process, the house delivers from the manufacturer, and they're just going to drop it on site. So you'll have to have an installer come in and block and tie it down, do all that. Inside, we call it doing the trim out. So the trim on the house doesn't come installed, but all the materials are inside. Otherwise, they would get damaged in transport. So you'll have to have someone go in, put all the trim up. The siding on the sides of the house will need to be put up. We're going to install decks on the house. It comes with an indoor furnace and ductwork, but we'll have to do the outdoor HVAC unit. We'll do brick skirting on ours. Different parts of the country, they don't do brick. They might do vinyl skirting or concrete board, but we do brick. We think it looks nicer. And then we'll also do a driveway. I forgot to mention, before the house delivers, we're doing our clearing and grading. But after all that stuff, then we'll throw in a septic tank, connect the water lines, or connect sewer if we don't need a septic tank. And that's pretty much it. We're doing gravel driveways, not concrete. And then we set up and we're on the market. Right now, for us, we're seeing that most of these are going under contract within about a week or so. So they're not sitting very long at all. And then we're usually closed out, call it 45 days after going under contract. So start to finish, if we buy a piece of land a day, we'll usually be sold and done with the project in about 3 to 4 months.
That's really a really good turnaround. Now, do you keep some for yourself, or everything is sold after the fact, that when you're done with it?
All the brand new ones, we just sell them for cash. I go and buy mobile homes and mobile home parks for longer term rental stuff, but we sell all the brand new ones.
Okay. Chris, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I hope our listeners take a piece of your knowledge with them on their journey, and you certainly tapped into a strategy that not a lot of people use in today's world in real estate. And so I'm really happy to bring that aspect to our listeners. Thanks again for being part of the 5 Questions podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the 5 Questions podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Stay tuned for more insights and tips to transform your real estate and business game. See you next time.